Hello everyone to my very first video on YouTube. I wanted to make a video about the construction or deconstruction of the European flag. Basically I wanted to play around a bit with vectors on my iPad, so I made this video. As you might know, the EU flag is composed of 12 yellow stars on a blue background, and they are laid out in the same way a clock face would be. So every star is 30 degrees apart from one another. And another thing to be noted is that all the stars are pointing upwards, so they're not pointing outwards the cycle, that some of them would be upside down, but they're all pointing upwards. As you might know or not know, each flag is not defined by an image, but actually by a construction, so that can be reconstructed without any graphical support. So it's basically like a recipe on how to build a flag. In the case of the EU flag, there's also a proportion given for the flag. Each flag has a specified proportions which can be different. Sometimes in this specific case it's 3:2, but there's also flags that have 3:4 or 4:5. And then everything is basically defined as a proportion of something else. So there's nothing is given in metric or in centimeters or anything like that. It's only given in proportions. So as you can see here, for instance, the star, if you would declare this distance to be 1x, so basically we would multiply everything here by 9/2. If we do the same thing here, we would end up, oh sorry, this is not 1/9. So if we would multiply everything by 9, so here the diameter would end up being 2, so the radius is 1, and then this length here would become 6. So that's the proportion of the stars, depending in proportion of the center point, the distance from the center point. Yes, and now we'll take this template, which I got from Wikipedia, and we'll try to create the same thing in Geogebra and then import it into some vector software and have a nice, perfect design. Okay, so here we are now in Geogebra on iPad, and as I told you, we'll use the same proportions that we saw from Wikipedia. So basically the size of one star is the radius is 1 square, and then we use 6 squares for the radius of the circles where all the stars are lying on. So I start by defining a single star in the middle. So we have a pentagon, which is how you create a simple star. Then I use these circles to find the 12 locations on the outer circle where the stars will be located. And then I use a feature of GeoGebra where you can translate a shape by a given distance. So that's why I created a single star in the middle, and now I can simply duplicate it by translating it on the 12 dots of the outer circle. And then, oh yeah, now we will define the shape of the flag itself. So as I said, the proportions are 3:2. And now we will also color the stars yellow, as we said, just to make it look nice. By default, everything in Geogebra is either gray or blue, so you have to color stuff manually. It's not a program made for drawing, but it's a program made to create exact shapes. That's why I use it. Then we also perform some cleanup here, just to remove all the labels, make it look a little bit nicer. And now, oh yeah, we also remove, or we hide the dots around the stars. Also to make it look a little bit nicer. Just some quick cleanup there. As you can see in Geogebra, everything, because we duplicated basically the star in the middle to the 12 outer stars, they're all linked. So if you move the center star, all the duplicated elements will also rotate. Here I just colored all the elements that I used for the specific construction. So everything that's used for the flag construction is painted blue, the 3 big circles, and everything that was used to construct the stars is painted yellow, just to differentiate, because there's many lines. It might be easy to keep track of if we use a little bit of color. Yes, and then there's just some final cleanup to do here to hide those translate vectors for the final design, similar to the pentagon and that circle. There would be other ways to construct this, not by duplicating a single star, but by constructing either each one of them individually or translating them using rotation. But I don't think that's a feature that's supported in Geogebra. Otherwise, the stars would be pointing outwards and not upwards, I believe. Okay, now I actually moved to Geogebra on the computer, on the Mac, because it's not possible to export SVGs on iPad. So yeah, I have the exact same file. I just opened it, and here you can see I have the download as SVG option, which is for scale. It stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, which then I can use to import in Illustrator, which was... So actually, as you can see, we didn't use the SVG file because it had some weird clipping issues, but instead we ended up using the PDF, which is also vector-based format. So here I'm just getting rid of the outline because for some reason the outline and the objects were separate, and we just care about the inner part and not really the outline. Then stuff was grouped together weirdly, so I had to get rid of all the grouping, and then I had to use my favorite tool, which is the Pathfinder, which basically before the stars they were empty in the middle because of the way the line was drawn. The center part ended up being empty, and when you use the Pathfinder you can first dice the pieces and then merge them back together to get one full object. And then I had some issues with the transparency where I couldn't get the stars to be nice and full, so we had to use a kind of trick. First invert the colors, and then the transparency was back to 100%, which is what we wanted. I had to apply the same trick here with the flag itself. Then obviously the colors were wrong. We just chose some random ones. But obviously you can't just pick a random blue color because each flag also has a color that's predefined. And you can also find that information on Wikipedia. So both the yellow and the blue have a specification. Here I just used an image to with the color picker tool to just get the right color approximately. Yeah, and this is it for the part of the work in Illustrator. So there you have it. This is my little video on the EU flag and its 12 stars. It's a very simple design, 2 colors, a very clear construction, which I liked. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Get a little background on flag construction and the EU flag in particular. So yeah, as I said, it's my first YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed it, and leave me some comments below and a thumbs up if you like. Bye bye now.